Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Newsbeat here on Metro Television. We're coming to you live from our studios here at Northridge in Accra. I am Desmond Okrekudan. So let's take a look at our headlines this afternoon. Coming up, counter-accusations between family of former President Mills and his aide, Kwaku Anyidaho, over plans to reconstruct tomb of the late former leader. We'll bring you details on that. So coming up, Ghana has been ranked second most peaceful country in Africa in the face of rising insecurity on the continent. How could the state cement this position and safeguard the nation's territories? We'll hear from the experts this afternoon. Now on the foreign front, Sri Lankan MPs elect Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe as the country's new president, despite his unpopularity with the public. These and many more stories coming up this afternoon. Let's settle now for the details, and we are live on Facebook at Metro TV Ghana and also on DSTV channel 277. Now, founder and CEO of the Joint Events at Mills Institute, Kwaku Anyidaho, has denied allegations that not a single family member of the late president was informed before the desecration of his tomb at the ASOMDWE Park, calling the bluff of the minorities' threat to sue him for his actions. Kwaku Anyidaho said some family members are in the known. Before we hear from him, let's listen to the brother of the late president, Samuel Atta Mills.
Apparently, a group calling itself Atta Mills Institute that the family doesn't recognize and Coastal Development Authority have gone to break this grave of President John Evans Atta Mills. They have removed the tomb, and what they've done is they claim that they are rebuilding it. Now, my question is this: we have traditions. Why would you go and touch somebody's grave without informing the family? Now, the question I want to ask is this: now that you've gone to touch it, is the body still in that grave? What did you put in that grave? What kind of rituals did you perform over there? Why would you go and touch the grave without informing us? Who has the body now? And that is a question that I want to ask Ghanaians. Who has the body now? Coastal Development Authority. Under whose authority did you do this? Why do you always want to make us go through grief every time? Now you allow someone like Kwaku Anyidaho, that buffoon, working with Atta Mills Institute, so-called, to go and touch this grave without informing our family head. This is a former president. Why would the government allow this to happen? This is an insult to the family. This is an insult to the accounts. This is an insult to the nation. My goodness.
Grave look like us at today when we visited the place. I've been sad, I've cried since morning. You could see from my eyes. Because renovating the place do not call for this desecration. And you can't do anything like that without informing and notifying the family. Because our customs and tradition as Ghanaians demands that if you are doing such a thing, a family member must be present. I've asked Sami, who just talked, we've asked Cadman, we've asked the family. No member of the family was informed of such level of desecration and disrespect to the grave of the man who made all of us.
Let's now listen to Koko Anyudoho.
Conference yesterday. Apart from Samia Tamils, do you see any family there? Was it not politicians? So they want to play politics with the death of President Mills. I don't want to play politics with it. For me, I'm in service to God and country. President John Mahama was the president when we laid the late President Mills to rest. Is that not it? So today, if there's another president and he's also honoring the memory of the late president, what is my crime? It's not about politics. It's about the Republic of Ghana, and that's all I seek to do, to serve the nation. So let them play their partisan politics. But on Sunday, the 24th of July, Ghanaians shall see what it is that the Lord has done at ASOMDWE Park.
That's suffice to say that the family were contacted in a way, and Samuel Tamils wasn't in the know the reason why he granted that press conference.
Forget about him. Forget about Samuel Tamils. Why? Yeah. It was in this castle that I worked with his brother. Who was Samuel Tamils in the equation? Who was he? Did you ever hear of him? Did you have any official letter to say he was appointed to any position? So you want to appropriate the legacy of your brother, but you won't build ASOMDWE Park. Ignore him. I don't want to waste my time on it.
Are you saying the family were contacted? Any member of the family?
Lots of the members of the family. But because of respect for each and every one of them, I will not mention names. I will not mention names.
How do you respond to allegations that the body of the late president has been exhumed from the...
How? Even in our own small ways, as families, as groups, as organizations, don't we do tombstones to remember the dead? And when we are doing it, do we exhume bodies? Do we? We don't. That's all we have done, to build a nice resting place for the president. Nobody has touched anybody. National security owns this place. 24 hours, they are here. So I came with a pickaxe and a Sophie and a jigger, and I came to exhume the body and carried it on my back and took it away. It's ridiculous. It's not possible. It's not true. But I think I just put it out somewhere that if enemies don't attack, faith is not tested.
Away from that story, Ghana has been ranked the second most peaceful country in the sub-Saharan Africa. This is according to the 2022 edition of the Global Peace Index GPI report released this week. The index also placed Ghana as the 40th most peaceful country on the global ranking of 163 countries. Now let's stay a bit longer on this, and join us on Zoom is Dr. Chukwuemeka Eze, who is the Executive Director for the West African Network for Peace Building. Good afternoon, thank you for joining us, sir. What does this ranking mean for us as a country, as the second most peaceful country in sub-Saharan Africa? Hello, sir. If you can unmute yourself so we can hear you.
I think, thank you for having me. I think it's a very good news. It's a welcome development that Ghana continue to be that shining example of a peaceful and democratic society. But as the analogy always go, peace is like a flower. So you need to always water your flower, care for your flower, weed the flower, otherwise the flower will lose its beauty. So it is also a call to intensify all the efforts at making Ghana peaceful without losing sight of the fact that Ghana is also existing within a region that is mostly volatile and with implications for the fragility of the country.
Okay, from your understanding of the report, what are some of the indicators that you think helped Ghana to place second on the table?
there are several of them. First of all, if you look at some of the peace-generating factors, including the institutions of the state that help to mediate in conflict, including the National Peace Council, for example, which has become a reference within the global peace and security architecture for people to develop peace architectures within their countries. The second thing is also on issues of tolerance, whether it is on the areas of religion or areas of ethnicity. Ghana has done very well and projected itself as having social and national cohesion. Then you also look at the processes of transfer of power, issues around the election and transition. I think a combination of all these, and also coupled with the fact that Ghana continues to resist all manner of pressure on violent extremism in a region that is actually now known for that. I think all that combined to give it a good standing.
Okay, so we understand that a number of Ghanaians have been recruited into some, terrorist groups. How do we make sure that we do not get to be like other countries that we have around us where there are various attacks happening there?
I think the most important thing is to continue to address the root causes of what might lead to violent extremism, including issues around unemployment and poverty, and continue to also engage in mass literacy and awareness. I think that it is important to recognize that some of those structural issues are rearing its ugly head now in Ghana. A lot of people are complaining about hunger, and those are issues that could add to pressure in getting into such extremist group. But I think that one thing that must be clearly stated is that the resistant factors in Ghana, the resilient factors in Ghana is very high. And all that are things that we need to continue to work on to ensure that it doesn't get to that extent.
What do you make of the campaign that was launched, the See Something, Say Something campaign? You think it will be able to yield some results for us?
Well, those are treating the symptoms, which means that if you see, for example, untoward movement or some movement that you don't trust, you alert the security operatives. But those are symptoms. I think the focus now should be on how to address some of the structural push factors rather than just the pull factors into extremism.
Okay. How do we maintain the peace that we have in the country going forward?
I think there are a number of issues that we need to address. First of all, we need to have a comprehensive development agenda that looks at these issues on economic challenges. How do we recruit the youths into meaningful activities so that they don't become vulnerable to recruitment? And then secondly, how do we continue to deepen the democracy that Ghana has already gained international recognition for? And how do we also continue to work on community resilience and developing other community structures that support peace processes? And then also at the national level, continue to invest in institutions like the National Peace Council that address issues at track 1 level and also at the community level. In combining all this and also strengthening the efforts of mainstream security sector, including the police, to be able to detect crime and work with the communities to detect crime and respond to crime timeously so that it doesn't escalate and lead to issues that could now decrease the position of Ghana in the Global Peace Index.
Okay, thank you so much for speaking to us this afternoon. Dr. Chukwuemeka Eze is the Executive Director of WANU, speaking to us on Ghana's position on the Global Peace Index, that we are the second most peaceful country in the sub-Saharan region. Now to some other stories, and the See Something, Say Something campaign, does that ring a bell? Well, 2 months ago, the National Security Ministry launched the campaign to get Ghanaians to be on the alert in the face of terrorist threats in the sub-region. Do Ghanaians still remember this campaign? Let's find out.
The Ministry for National Security recently launched the See Something, Say Something campaign, urging citizens to report suspicious activities in their communities in the wake of terrorist threats in the sub-region. The high rate of unemployment among the youth is one of the factors contributing to them joining extremist groups. Almost 2 months after the launch, not many Ghanaians are aware of the campaign.
I can't say I've really heard much information about the program that is going on, but then since we are creating awareness of what is going on, I think with due time, we will have so much information and we can do what is needed of us to do.
It was just 2 days that a student of mine came around with, I said GH1, that's where he saw a campaign about say something, whereby you identify somebody that you've not met at your vicinity for some time, then you try to alert somebody that you think they can handle that person properly.
I heard of it yesterday. They were telling us, the Ghanaians, that anytime we see something almost like a crime going on, we should be able to say something about it.
Now, the Ghana Statistical Service has released a national survey on corruption in Ghana. This, among many things, is expected to present a holistic approach to fight corruption and also bring up measures to nip it in the bud. My colleague Alvis Ando is at the event and brings us a live broadcast of what's being discussed.
For the Ministry of Education, think about the budget for Ministry of Health, think about our real GDP for 2021, and better appreciate what this 5 billion means. If you take the budget for Ministry of Education, it's close to a third of their budget in 2021. Specifically about 32.8% of the budget of Ministry of Education in 2021. This is what we do not understand. And this is what will not help us understand how our macroeconomic indicators would behave. So when I reflect this on the 2021 GDP, real GDP, which was about 175 billion, I ask myself, so where is the 5 billion in this? This is the contextualization that we need to do to better appreciate how corruption, payment of bribes is affecting our understanding, our appreciation of the economy. Keeping in mind that this is only cash bribes. Why do people do it? More than a third is just because they want to facilitate a procedure. And closely related to that is about another 11% that they want to finalize a procedure. So basically, you're talking about 44% that is to see to an end of a product, either of a public service, either within the shortest possible time or to help facilitate it coming to an end. Then we have other issues. We want to avoid payment of fines, sign of appreciation, and avoid cancellation of public utilities, which we are all familiar with. The only way we can address this, which I'm happy my colleague from CHRAJ and UNODC talked about how to do with, are people willing to talk about this. Only 3% of people actually report this happening. Why? Which we have in the instrument. The two dominant reasons: it is a norm. The second one is, to what end? This is what we need to address through different media, including public education. We now turn to the gender dimensions, specifically sexual favors. And we look at this from two perspectives. The likelihood of men paying bribe or being asked to pay bribe and refuse as against women. And the prevalence among men is 1.6 times that of women. Specifically with males, 34.1%, and females, 20.7%. While I was reflecting on this, I said the reverse is also true. And what that means is that those who are asking it is about the same story. Men are dominating in both the payment or being asked and refusing, and in also the asking. 1.6 times, and again 2.0 times difference between males and females. Specifically 25.2 against males and 13.1 against females. targeting in terms of our interventions in the area of reducing the incidence of bribery. We now turn to what Ghana has done for the first time, as I'm told, in the work of sexual favors. Again, here we are not running with the numbers. Keep in mind the social stigma associated with people reporting the incidence of giving out sexual favors in turn for a public service. And also look at it from the disaggregated point of view.
And that was government statistician Professor Kobna Enim. Now let's head to Parliament, where the House is currently debating a report by the Finance Committee on a proposed loan agreement between the Government of Ghana and the African Export-Import Bank for an amount of $750 million to finance capital growth-related expenditures. Let's now cross over to Parliament. So we'll be bringing you the scenes from Parliament as the debate is taking place.
We are taking a facility for the construction of the Eastern Corridor, Lots 5 and 6. But because of the difficulties in drawing down, we are bringing this we are making this allocation out of the lot for 70 million. It's just to serve, as the ranking member said, as bridge financing. What the House needs to perhaps indicate is that, yes, once you're able to draw down, what happens to the allocation here, the 70 million? We should insist that, yes, we should find good use of the 70 million. Either we pay it back, or maybe we apply it to good use. The Speaker, is the same thing with the construction of stadium infrastructure for all African Games. Yes, we've taken a facility for 170 million. Now, just so that we'll be able to step out and begin the construction, because time is very limited. This is supposed to be a bridge financing, the 140 million. Once we're able to draw down on the facility that was made, indeed approved by this House, then, of course, just to prevent any double expenditure or double counting, the 140 million, this House will have to insist that we put it to some other defined use. The Speaker, that is what it is. So it's not a case of a repetition or double counting. And for the minority leader, yes, I know oftentimes is a sympathizer who want to weep more than be bereaved. I thank him for the tears that he has shed for me. But let me insist that, Mr. Speaker, this is not occasioned by the demonstration that happened last week, or even what happened the day before yesterday. The negotiations for this facility, Mr. Speaker, started way back, several months ago. So for those of them who are saying that, oh, this is being occasioned by the demonstration that happened last week, it cannot be accurate. It's an unfortunate statement. But of course, Mr. Speaker, we are here looking for 750 million, and I believe that the House would rise in unison to approve of this facility. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the space granted.
So that was a debate in Parliament. We're taking our first break. We'll be back with some more stories. Please stay. Welcome back from the break. Now, it's been 6 months since APPIATSE, a town in Bogoso in the western region, made the headlines in gloom when a truck carrying explosives crashed with a motorbike, resulting in an explosion which took lives and left others maimed. Shadrach Odami-Jari revisited APPIATSE and has filed this report.
It may look like an organized community already, but don't be deceived. It's about a month after the APPIATSE disaster. I am back again at APPIATSE, this time not at the explosion site, but at the relief camp. This is where males and females of the APPIATSE disaster, who or more so are victims, are settling temporarily
till a new structure or new structures are erected at their new site.
The people here were relocated from the St. Michael Catholic Church and the Golden Hotel in Bogoso. This time, households and small families are accommodated in tents. Some dwellers have already begun plying various sorts of trade to make ends meet. For the kids, it was life as usual. The APPIATSE disaster displaced some 800 residents as they while away time at government's relief camp awaiting the reconstruction of their homes by the state. Authorities say residents will be moved into some temporary housing units earmarked for completion within a month.
So there are about 76 of them. The people that have been displaced, there are about 800. So if you divide that, we are hoping that for each, there are 3 rooms in each house. So if you divide that, we are talking about 10 people per block.
Government's priority is to ensure adequate protection for victims ahead of the rainy season. Francis Abeku Yanka is the Municipal Director of NADMO.
Some tents have been perforated by the children, which causes water to fill the tents each time it rains. We have, however, started digging out trenches around the tents to help the free flow of running water.
I also caught up with some of the inhabitants who shared how they are coping with their new way of living.
We are okay, but often get scared each time the rains set in. Our tents are sometimes destroyed. We are, however, grateful to our nurses for their care.
Let's get some more details on this as we speak to Daiwo Kwashi, who is the PR for the APPIATSE Relief Committee and joins us on phone. Good afternoon, Daiwo. And how are victims faring 6 months on?
It's been hectic, my brother. Like you rightly said, from the 20th of January to today, there has not been a single day that we have slept by full night. There's always something to attend to. It's been very hard attending to victims with various degrees of injuries, from those who are bedridden to those who are perceived to have recovered but still issues with them and stuff. It isn't easy.
So let's get into the specifics. What exactly have you been working on with respect to getting them into new buildings, clothing, monies, anything that you would want to share with us?
Yes. After the explosion, lots of organizations and individuals donated items and cash to us. If I say it means the APPIATSE Disaster Relief Committee and the APPIATSE Support Fund, the fund that is supposed to take care of the reconstruction of the community. And then we've been using to support them. On one hand, those
Hello, Daiwo. Hello, Daiwo. I think we lost Daiwo Kwashi there. He's the PRO for the APPIATSE Relief Committee, giving us some more details. 6 months on after the explosion happened. We'll work the lines to get him back on. And let's go to Al-Hassan D. Baba. He is at the Ghana Senior High School, and he has some details for us with respect to the school feeding or the feeding that the students in the senior high school are getting. Good afternoon, Al-Hassan. What can you report for us this afternoon?
Yeah, thank you so much, Desmond, for coming to me. Yeah, like you mentioned, I am at the Tamale Ghana Senior High School in Tamale, where the students of the school are still saying that they don't receive any quality of food from the school. And I spoke to a number of school authorities within the northern region, which includes Tamale Senior High School, Tamale Islamic School, and currently I'm at the Ghana Senior High School, where the authority declined to speak to me, but my sources there indicated that they have not received anything from the government. In fact, even this morning, according to my sources, they had to borrow oil from one school that is closer to them to feed the students. So the situation in the northern region is not different from what we were seeing earlier the masters are still borrowing money, borrowing food items from different people to feed their students. In fact, one of the schools mentioned to me that they are able to get some food items from their supplier on credit. And at Ghana Senior High School, they told me that Tamale Senior High School, they told me that their supplier gave them some milk, but receiving anything from the government, they haven't received anything like that. I was even with some of the students at Ghana Senior High School, but unfortunately, they have moved a little bit away from me. They spoke to me and told me that the situation in their dining hall is still very bad, and they are calling on government to come to their aid to ensure that things change from what they are facing currently.
Is it that they don't get the food at all, or the quality has reduced? They get the food, but the quality has reduced.
Yes, according to the students, they are getting the food all right, but the quality and the quantity is nothing to write home about. Because according to them, they don't get sugar again, they don't get sardine, no meat, and even when they cook jollof for them, you think it's just some white plain rice, plain rice without oil. So the situation at the various high schools within the northern region is still not good. It's still not good. Not only at Ghana Senior High School. In fact, many of the schools that I visited this morning, I visited about 5 schools. And the situation is still the same, that they can't speak. Because that is why most of the time we like speaking to the students who are direct beneficiaries or who are those who this issue is affecting directly. So that is why we do speak to students and not masters, because they fear that government may victimize them. So the situation, like we said earlier, is still very difficult for students and masters at various senior high schools across the country. And they told me.
Finally, I want to know if you've spoken to parents and what have they been telling you? Hello, Al Hassan. Okay.
Come again.
Yeah, I'm asking that. Have you been able to speak to parents and what have they been telling you, if you have?
These are schools we are visiting, and the parents are not at the various senior high schools, so it's difficult to get parents to speak to them. That is why we rely on students and masters, and the masters are not being able to speak to us due to
no, but even off campus.
Come again, Desmond.
Even off campus, when you before you got, you must have tried speaking to some parents, or you haven't been able to do that.
It is something I'll follow up and speak to parents as to what they feel about what their wards are going through at the various senior high schools across the northern region. But on the campuses of the schools, the parents are not around. So from here, I'll try speaking to some parents as to what they feel. In fact, at one of the senior high schools, they told me that the parents of their PTA of the school is even helping them get food to feed the students on their campus. So the situation, like I mentioned, it's very difficult, and I think government should up their game, because they told us that trucks were on their way to various senior high schools across the northern region. Meanwhile, none of them confirmed receiving food items from government directly, especially the buffer stock.
Al Hassan Dibaba, thank you so much. Do continue following that story, and we'll come back to you later in our subsequent bulletins. And that was our correspondent, Al Hassan Dibaba, from the northern region. Now, after serving the Ghana Police Service for over 35 years, the Director General of Public Affairs Directorate, DCOP Kwesi Ofori, retires with an appeal to Ghanaians to embrace the new paradigm shift where rule of law works. According to him, if it represents an era where offenders do not go scot-free. He said this at a pull-out and farewell ceremony held here in Accra to honor him as a dedicated senior officer.
The police in contemporary times, spearheaded by Dr. Jojo, have brought in a major paradigm shift in policing, simply to serve our people. And to serve our people better, then rule of law should be the bedrock of our position. And
And we'll follow through with that story. Winston Taki standing by with business news. Hello, Winston.
Hello, Desmond.
What do you have for us?
Business, I'll bring you an update on food inflation and more after this. And now to our first business story. Food recorded inflation was 30.7% for the month of June, indicating an increase of 2.3% compared to May 2022. This rate of increase, according to the president of the Association of Ghana Industries, Dr. Humphrey Ayimdake, was as a result of activities of middlemen in the agricultural value chain who hike food prices on the market.
Today, all over the airwaves, we have a number of comments from the Minister of Agriculture who says that, look, I've been to the villages, I've been to the farmlands, there's a lot of food there. But on the markets and in the factories that should come in the one district, one factories to add values for export and for consumption, there are concerns. And when you go through a number of history and concerns, it has always been the subject matter of post-harvest losses. In the past, we all knew what we call the Ghana Food Distribution Corporation. The Ghana Food Distribution Corporation was playing an aggregating role. And then that from there moves to the factories and add value. How best can we transform that sector from an informal sector, where the middleman in Makola woman or the queen of tomatoes or queen of onions or of yam picks the product from wherever and then through all manner of machinations over prices. How do we design it? And we knew that of the commodity exchange was also tabled as one of the interventions. How do we allow commodity exchange play an effective role in pricing and guarantee some off-taker price for the farmer and for the businessman that fills that space and then to the factory gate, so that they will do a lot of storage in the warehouses and then we could buy, add value. Once we have identified that gap and can consciously work between GESOM and the Ministry of Agriculture, I believe that intervention can bring about a lot of transformation and drop the food basket. This is our proposition. Let us look at the value chain carefully and bring in significant innovation.
Now, away from that, Ghana has been ranked second among countries with the highest debt default rates in 2022. The country closely follows El Salvador, which also ranked first in the sovereign debt vulnerability ranking, a study conducted by Bloomberg. Ghana's debt to gross domestic product, according to Bloomberg, is estimated at 84.6% by the end of the year. This indicates that the nation's debt will have surpassed 400 billion before the end of 2022. As a result of the first quarter of 2021, Ghana's public debt had hit 391 billion Ghana cedis, approximately $50.3 billion. The Bank of Ghana report says. Now, we are joined on the phone line by a fiscal policy analyst, Alex Ampaben. Good afternoon and welcome to Newsbeat.
Good afternoon.
Great. What does it mean when we say Ghana is a high debt distressed country?
Right. When we talk of a country being at a position of high debt distress, what that means is that the country is on the verge of a sovereign debt default, meaning that Ghana's debt that it owes to people or to businesses, especially those external debt, we are most likely will not be able to meet the repayment obligations.
Okay. All right. The report projects that our debt will surpass the 400 billion Ghana cedis mark by the end of 2022. What will this mean to our growth prospects?
Well, I mean, on a country going through a situation of debt distress or having a high level of debt is something that is not really a comfortable thing. Currently, Ghana, we are not performing well on our current account balances. Our fiscal balance is also really bad as a debt as a percentage of our GDP. Broadly, as you said, our debt to GDP is also skyrocketing, projecting about 84 or so by end of the year. What this really means, I mean, heading towards a situation of debt distress, is that, and I hope it doesn't happen. If it happens like that, then the international capital markets will be completely shut. In other words, nobody will be willing to give Ghana more money again. And that potentially could have devastating consequences on consumers, especially being so much import dependent. What that going to mean in terms of investor confidence? Who is going to put their money in the country, knowing that government owes, potential of them paying back is not there. Inflation will keep rising until we find a solution to this. Mostly being exporting less than we are importing. Okay. And that, apart from the consumer confidence and the impact, is going to having to pay for high prices for items. It could also slow down growth as investor confidence goes down. People either take away their money where they have invested when it matures. Investors who are foreign might repatriate their funds abroad, try to invest in another country outside Ghana. And those within Ghana might equally move abroad or hold on to their resources rather than investing in Ghana. And crucially too, people might look into holding on to dollar.
Finally, in the report, it cited that interest payments on our debt is approximately 7.2% by the end of the year. In that case, what will happen should we fail to meet deadlines, possibly?
You see, interest payments has long been, debt servicing has long been one of Ghana's biggest headaches. As we stand, every one Ghana we get from our revenue generates 50 pesos, over 50 pesos goes into debt servicing, with the rest going into resort to austerity, certain expenditure. To me, that remains the only realistic option, because as a country, we are not performing on domestic revenue front. If we are performing, when government was projecting that the E-levy was going to be the solution, if that had happened to be the case, I don't think we'll be having this conversation, because debt is not necessarily a way of telling people that you are going, but always become crucial because we're performing poorly on our domestic revenue. What that means that option left for the government is to pursue a very aggressive activity, to have a serious.
Thank you, Dr. Alex Mpabin, speaking on Ghana's debt distress, where we've been ranked second across the world. The Trades Union Congress has also been speaking with regards to Ghana's standing with reference to how challenges are affecting the Social Security and National Insurance Trust.
We are demanding the total overhaul of pension system in Ghana to be fair. The current system is unfair to many workers. A few privileged individuals are being paid huge sums of money from the SSNIT scheme every month at the expense of ordinary workers who are contributing to the scheme from their meager salaries. You can't believe that one person earns 140,000 every month from a scheme which pays 300 Ghana cedis for people. And so the essence of Social Security and National Insurance is completely gone. What is Social Security about a scheme which pays 300 Ghana cedis? And I can tell you, if it were not the board which actually even push it further to 300, there will be some people who are earning 100 Ghana cedis or 150. Then somebody on the same scheme is earning 140,000. This does not exist anywhere.
That'll be all for business here on Newsbeat. My name is Winston Taki. Sports is next after this break.
It's 48 past midday in the Ghanaian capital, Accra. My name is Phil John Quarter, and it's time for your sports. Ghana's under-20 female team, the Black Princesses, are preparing for the Mundial, which will be staged in Costa Rica. They've been preparing against the Americans, the Australians, and Japan in the same group. Let's hear Ben Foko and his charges.
It's the 6th time we qualified to the World Cup. We're not able to qualify from the group stage, and during our preparation, that is our target, and making sure that this team perform this year for us to enter the knockout stage. So we are preparing very well, as you can see this afternoon. Look at the players' performance and look at their demeanor and their strength and everything. We believe that this year we can do more than what we've done before. So we are just praying that we don't have any injuries among us before we leave to Costa Rica. So what I'm trying to say today is that we are all making sure that this year we'll make amends and maybe cross that bridge which we are not being able to cross this year, so that Ghana will see us through to the knockout stages.
It's a great honor and a privilege for me to be part of this team, representing my nation, that's the Ghana. I'm very happy and excited to be in the team. Everyone is putting up their maximum best to make sure we achieve one goal, that is to make Ghana proud, make ourselves proud, and also qualify from the group stage. Yeah.
That's your sports. My name is Phil John Quartin, and I is ready for showbiz.
Thank you very much, Johnny. Entertainment news is next. My name is APPIATSE. Now, cultural enthusiasts have called on government to intensify strategies and campaign to officially make the use of Made in Ghana goods agenda a reality. They spoke at the 2022 Ashanti Regional Arts and Culture Exhibition.
The 2022 Ashanti Regional Arts and Culture Exhibition was launched at the Center for National Culture in Kumasi under the theme, Working Together, Bouncing Back Better. The Ashanti Regional Director of Center for National Culture, Emmanuel Ansu, encouraged government to give more grants to local artisans and further appeal to the commercial banks to give credit with low interest rates to enable artisans produce quality but less expensive goods.
Some the producers, they don't get easy funding. They don't get, what I mean is, they don't get funds and all the credits from the banks to do their work. So in that matter, when they produce them, the little that they have to increase the price. So I would like to encourage the government to give them grants, and for that matter, give them loans for them to establish their businesses so that they can just produce more, and when you produce more, the cost comes down and they will get people to buy at the lowest cost or the lowest price.
The Deputy Director of Culture at the Center, Mustafa Issa, shed more light on the exhibition and explained what the Center was doing to promote the works of artisans.
So far, what we are doing is that we've realized that if you market yourself internally, you have to also go external to reach wider market. And we are doing two approaches. First of all, we have those we are training around on some of these products, and most of them are unemployed people. After everything, we get them startups and we get them markets outside, through that they're able to send their, it's called the big project, Believe in Ghana project. That is ongoing, and we are trying to fuse this with the Believe in Ghana project. As we seek for markets for the Believe in Ghana project, these artisans will also be attached to such projects, and then we have international markets for them as well.
After enjoying a long reign as the king of streaming, American subscription streaming service and production company, Netflix loses 970,000 subscribers in the second quarter of the year. The company now projects at least 1 million subscribers by the third quarter of the year.
Netflix has lost subscribers in the second quarter, though net global losses of 970,000 weren't as bad as the streaming giant's loss from the last quarter, which had anticipated losing around 2 million. Netflix on Tuesday reported its most recent financial results and ended the period with 220.67 million paid global subscribers. Netflix's biggest subscriber loss came from its biggest markets, the United States and Canada, where the streamer said it lost 1.3 million users in the second quarter, but that was offset by increased subscriptions elsewhere. Our challenge and opportunity is to accelerate our revenue and membership growth by continuing to improve our product, content and marketing as we've done for the last 25 years and to better monetize our big audience, the company stated.
That's all on entertainment news. This one over to you.
Thank you very much, Nanaya, for bringing us entertainment. Up next is international news. And on the international front, Sri Lankan MPs have elected Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe as the country's new president. Despite his unpopularity with the public, Wickremesinghe faces the task of leading the country out of its economic collapse and restoring public order after months of mass protest. He roundly defeated his main rival for the job, Dulles Ahalaperuma, with 134 votes to 82 in the parliamentary vote. And now to the United States, where at least 17 Democratic lawmakers, including Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib and Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, have been arrested at an abortion rights protest outside the United States Supreme Court. U.S. Capitol Police said on Twitter that the demonstrators had blocked traffic on a nearby road and were given 3 warnings before officers made the arrest. The small demonstration came weeks after a ruling by the Supreme Court that overturned the 1973 landmark Roe versus Wade decision, which had guaranteed women's access to abortion. Now to the UK, and the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, says London's fire service had its busiest day since World War II, dealing with several blazes in record-breaking temperatures. On Tuesday, the city was one of 15 areas around the UK to declare a major incident. The fire started on a day which saw a record temperature of 40.3 Celsius in Coningsby, Lincolnshire. And that's by way of news this afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I am Desmond Okreku Danson. We'll be back at Forward News Flash and 7 p.m. with News 9. Do enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye.